Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Gary Madsen of ProTransit Nanotherapy. Gary, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate that opportunity.
Right. So what was your background before joining ProTransit Nanotherapy? What did you do before this?
Well, I have a long career in biotechnology. I got my Ph.D., master's and Ph.D. at Creighton University right here in Omaha, Nebraska. And then went on to work at Abbott Laboratories for a long time, 17 years. I worked at Abbott doing a wide range of things like product support, new product development. In the last few years, I moved into business development, doing licensing, patent protection, that kind of thing to strike deals between Abbott and outside biotech companies. And then I left Abbott, went into Abbott Laboratories, which is the world's largest veterinarian diagnostic company. And I was head of R&D there. And that was out in the East Coast, which was an interesting experience since I grew up in Iowa here in the Midwest. And then moved back to the Midwest, going to Madsen, Wisconsin, and worked for a series of biotech companies that people have probably heard of, like Third Wave Technology and DNA Diagnostics, Promega, a supplier of life science research tools. And in each one of these jobs, I had a combination of new product development and licensing, so I could basically identify a new technology and bring it all the way through the development process and launch the product, which is really what I love to do. So my final goal is to get back to the Midwest, especially Omaha. And in that regard, they've developed a new position called Entrepreneur in Residence here at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. And so they named me Entrepreneur in Residence. And the responsibility of that job was really to help the university identify technologies that they could commercialize. And so I went through a large portfolio of technologies, looking at all these different opportunities. And the one that I selected was the one I'm currently founded the company on, which is nanoparticle drug delivery. And I also helped other professors who wanted to start companies and go through that process of converting intellectual property into real products. So that's kind of the long version of how I got here, but it is an interesting, and it has been my goal really to identify, develop, and launch new products in the biotechnology space.
Well, great. So we have quite a few investors that are listening and are probably interested in learning more about nanoparticle drug delivery as a investment space. What's your advice for those investors before they invest in companies in that sector?
Well, I think a couple things. One is make sure that the technology is workable and can be scaled up, and especially that they have good supporting data. I will say our first application for this technology is in the cosmetic and skincare field. And there are a lot of products in that space that make big claims and have large advertising budgets. And yet the technology at its heart really doesn't work. So my goal here is to develop, what we've actually done is develop very strong supporting data that prove that the technology does what it says it will. And it's not just a new bell and whistle that is more advertising than it is real product delivery. The second thing is I think you need to get good IP coverage and make sure that once you develop a product in this space, someone else is not going to come in and take it away from you.
So there's quite a bit of technology behind this space. Can you talk about how that technology is evolving and moving forward?
Yeah, sure. We use, as I said, nanoparticle drug delivery technology. It's based on a copolymer called PLGA. And during the process, what we do is we embed two very active catalytic enzymes called superoxide dismutase and catalase. And these are very important enzymes that work within your body to protect the body from something called free radical or reactive oxygen species. Things like UV exposure to the skin cause a great increase in the number of free radicals in the skin. And those are reactive chemicals that go around doing damage to structures in the skin like protein or DNA or lipids. And the result of that, especially in the skin, is like something that's called photoaging, where the skin becomes wrinkled and leathery, has age spots and that kind of thing. So our technology is designed to fight the development of those free radicals. And it's basically leveraging the natural way the body fights free radicals through these two very reactive enzymes. And so what we do is package those in and then apply them to the skin in a lotion or cream or a serum. And the particles naturally penetrate into the skin below the surface so that they don't get washed away or become inactivated, slough off. And they gradually, over time, release their active enzymes within the skin. And so it's like an augmentation of the natural protection that has been in your skin ever since you were born. And our goal is to have a once-a-day, 24/7 application to the skin that prevents this photoaging from occurring.
So what are the applications of the technology? Where can it be used?
Well, the skin application that I'm talking about is just really the tip of the iceberg. The free radical damage that I'm talking about really can occur in just about any organ of the body. We have research going in 3 other primary areas. One is in hypertension, where it's been shown that SOD enzyme is a modulator of blood pressure in the body, and people that have high blood pressure or hypertensive can receive therapy from SOD. The problem is that the blood pressure may go down, but it doesn't stay down very long and goes right back up. What we're researching, and that we believe will work because of our sustained release of these enzymes, is that you could give a dosing, let's say once a week, and then maintain a long-term reduction of blood pressure over time because of this gradual release of these active enzymes through the nanoparticle technology. The other area that we're working is traumatic brain injury. It's very well known that the brain and spine have high levels of these free radicals, and the body can control them to a certain extent. But under damaging conditions like a concussion or traumatic brain injury or spinal cord injury, the number of free radicals goes way out of control. The body can't contain the damage, and you get this amplification and expansion of damage from the injury site due to free radicals. We've got research going that has shown that our nanoparticles get into the brain upon traumatic brain injury, and we now are at the stage where we're going to demonstrate protection by our enzymes that are released to protect the brain under those conditions. And the third area is in radiation therapy. A lot of people that go through radiation treatment for cancer end up with severely damaged skin because that radiation, just like UV radiation from the sun, is very damaging to the skin. And in a highly concentrated situation like radiation therapy to tumors, you can end up with a situation that the patient can't tolerate enough radiation to treat the tumor. We believe, and we're in the process of showing, that by applying a lotion with our nanoparticles in advance of the therapy, you build up the number of antioxidant enzymes and can prevent the damage from this radiation to the skin. So that's just a few examples. There are many others. Just about any organ of the body can be damaged through this free radical damage I've been talking about. But we have to focus and only do what we can afford to at the time. And so those 3 are our next focuses after skincare.
So for starting a business in this space, what are the challenges with regard to regulatory or technical or marketing issues?
Yeah, the reason that we're starting in skincare, and especially cosmetic skincare, is that you don't need any kind of FDA approval. You don't have a submission, you don't have an IND. So once we develop the product, which we're in the process of doing right now, we'll be able to just notify the government that we're going out and show our label claims and that sort of thing. And we can launch virtually immediately into this market, which is a way to further support our scale up efforts, to further document the working of the technology, and give us a toehold in the marketplace while we're bringing these other things along. So that's one of the very important reasons that we've decided on skincare being our first step in that direction. You mentioned technical. There are challenges to scaling up nanoparticle production. And we're very fortunate here at the medical center to have an actual nanomedicine center. And as part of that center, they have a pilot plant that we work with every day and have for the last year in order to take the bench scale nanoparticle production process that we had and scale it up to the point where we're now making, instead of milligram amounts, making gram quantities. And eventually we hope to be making kilogram quantities of our nanoparticles. And then marketing, that's a very important aspect for skincare. As you're probably aware, and most people notice, there's a lot of advertising that goes on in this space. And I mentioned earlier that we want to be sure we have a technology that really delivers what it says it will. A lot of people just advertise and hope that could cover for a technology that really doesn't work that well. Our approach is different. We intend to start our marketing efforts with dermatologists and actually sell our product through a dermatology center where they sell very high-end, well-qualified, well-validated technologies that truly help people with skincare. And we feel that with that, we will establish a very high credibility for the technology. And then as time goes by, we can further move down the market, so to speak, into a more affordable and more broad-based delivery of the technology.
So ProTransit Nanotherapy is going to start with the skincare market, but can you tell us more about the company?
Yeah, the company was founded by myself and Vinod Labshitwar, who's my co-founder. He is a professor of biomedicine out at the Cleveland Clinic, and he and I formed the company back in 2013. We've been funded by a combination of friends, family, and founders to start with. We've gotten several grants. We had a grant together through the Department of Defense for spinal cord injury, which is another application for this technology. I've currently got a grant with Creighton University focusing on prevention of skin cancer. We've got very good feasibility data there that says not only do we prevent photoaging and kind of a cosmetic effect, but we also prevent the development of early precancer biomarkers in the skin. And this grant allows us to study those in more detail and eventually get to the point where we could get a claim on our labeling from the FDA and make our product stand out completely from the crowd, saying we really do prevent skin cancer. And so now we're at the point where we really need to raise money to further our scale-up efforts. Well, we've also got matching grants from the state of Nebraska, and the state has been very supportive all the way along in the maturity of our company. And we're now up to the point where we need to go out and raise a Series A round, primarily focused on further scale up and launching this first skincare product.
Well, it sounds like an exciting solution in the last few minutes that we have here. What else should we cover that we haven't?
Well, I think that pretty much does it. I think we've covered the waterfront pretty well, and I would encourage people to get in touch if they have further questions.
Great. Well, how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Well, I monitor my email very closely. That's gary.madsen@protransitnanotherapy.com. Or they're welcome to call me on my cell phone, which is 608-215-3599.
Great. We'll put those in the show notes. I want to thank you for taking time today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.